welcome back. Have you ever wondered which Fender offset tremolo is the best? Or perhaps which offers the best value for money? Well, today we're going to compare the three most popular options, the Classic Player, the Made in Japan, and the AVRI. In the process, we're also going to compare three different arm and collet upgrade options. The Staytrem is arguably the best known upgrade option for your Fender offset tremolo, but we're also going to compare it with the Fender American Professional 1 arm and collet using the tape and Tremolo Arm Tension Spring mods. And we're also going to include the Classic Player arm and collet using the Spring and Shot mod. We're going to have three tests comparing the different tremolos, and these are going to focus around the amount of noise they make, as well as their responsiveness and the feel of the tremolos. I'm not going to include tuning stability in these tests because I think all three are equally good in that regard. We're then going to have three comparisons between the different arm and collet options, and these are going to focus around really whether there is an alternative to the Staytrem or not. So, without further ado, let's meet the competitors. In the purple metallic, we have the Fender Classic Player Tremolo. This tremolo has the stock Classic Player arm and collet and is using the Shot and Spring mod from Fender. This is the Tremolo Arm Tension Spring and the 4mm ball bearing in the collet. Weighing in at $49, this is the cheapest tremolo in the running today, but it's not available to buy new in the UK or Europe. The Spring and Shot mod costs virtually nothing to install, and there are no additional costs for the arm or collet either. In the white and gold, we have a Frankenstein's monster of a tremolo, an unbranded Fender Made in Japan tremolo with an AVRI floating trem plate, an American Professional arm and collet, and a Tremolo Arm Tension Spring and a taped arm. The MIJ tremolo weighs in at $59 or £80 in the UK. However, it can be bought for as little as £40 in this unbranded version. The American Professional arm, collet, and tension spring add an additional £25 to the cost of this unit. And in the silver sparkle, we have the crowd favourite, the Fender AVRI tremolo with the Staytrem arm and collet. Weighing in at $79 for the tremolo or £140 in the UK, this is also the most expensive option of the three. In the UK and Europe, the AVRI is significantly more expensive than the competition. The Staytrem arm and collet will also set you back an additional £35. Okay, round one. In this round, we're going to compare the amount of noise that each tremolo makes. Round 2. We're now going to assess how noisy each tremolo is in practice by assessing whether the inherent noise of the tremolo can be heard over the acoustic sound of the instrument. Round 3. In this round, we're going to assess the practical performance of each tremolo. We're looking at its smoothness and the feel and responsiveness of the spring. Keep a close eye on my right hand and how much effort is needed to operate the tremolo, as well as the response that each tremolo gives. Round 4. The Staytrem is renowned for its positionability and rattle-free fit. Here, we're going to compare the relative positionability of each of the trems and how the arm fits in the collet. So, here it is, the fabled Staytrem arm and collet. You can see you can move the arm into any position and it will happily sit there, rather than flopping around all over the place. It's a really good design and it works really well. The arm is also a really snug fit in the collet, so you don't get any rattling or knocking of the arm in the collet. However, it's really hard to demonstrate that on this tremolo, as the unit itself is so noisy. Moving on to the classic player with the spring and shot. You can see that the action of the arm here is a little bit more stiff, it takes a little bit more effort to push the arm around, but it works in exactly the same way. If you want a bit of a looser feel to the arm, you can undo it a turn or two, and the arm will then move more freely in the collet. However, because the arm is a less snug fit now, this will introduce a bit of rattle, as the arm will be able to move a little bit in the collet, so I like to keep it done up to here. You can hear there that the arm's a really snug fit in the collet, and there's no rattling or knocking noises at all. Moving on to the American Professional with the spring and tape. You can see the arm moves more freely there than the classic player, more like the Staytrem. However, you do get some binding noises as the arm comes into contact with the spring. Without the ball bearing in there, the arms are less snug fit, and you can see there's some movement there. However, if we put this arm in the other tremolo with the spring and shot, it's as silent as anything. So definitely get the spring and shot rather than just the spring if you want a noise-free experience. Round 5. This may not occur to you as something worth comparing, but here we're going to compare the length of each of the tremolo arms. Now, because each of the arms has a different curve to it, we're not going to measure the arms in centimeters, but by their relative position on the guitar's body. you can see here that the Staytrem arm reaches the bottom of the bridge pickup selector switch. On the classic player, the arm reaches the bottom of the neck pickup selector switch, as you can see here. The American Professional arm reaches just about here, whatever that means, but you can see here on the classic player that it reaches the top of the neck pickup selector switch. And round 6. In this last round we're going to compare the shape of each of the tremolo arms and whether these have been modified or not. So here's all three arms side by side. You can see there isn't much difference in the length between them there, but we want to focus on the shape just now. So you can see they all start off a pretty similar shape there at the beginning. The Staytrem on the right is a very smooth curve all the way to the top. The classic player in the middle straightens out a little bit towards the tip, but that is the stock shape as it comes from the factory. And the American Professional on the left there is a very wonky bend. I bent that one myself because it comes virtually straight from the factory. And here it is in context. The Staytrem arm with its beautiful curve looks really nice. By comparison there, you can see there's not a whole lot of difference with the classic player. It's just a little bit more straight at the tip. And again, despite the American Professional arm being quite wonkily bent, the difference in context isn't actually that big. So let's wrap things up. Now for me, the classic player is the winner here, hands down. If you've been around my channel at all before, it may not be a surprise to you to know that my favourite of these tremolos is the classic player. It's the cheapest. With the spring and shot mod, I think it's just as effective as the Staytrem is, albeit the arm is a little bit more stiff, but it gets the same job done and I think it works really well. And for about 2 or 3 quid, it only costs about 1/10 as much as the upgrade to the Staytrem arm and collet. And I think it's every bit as good as the Staytrem. The arm comes with a really nice curve in it already, and really it's the only Fender arm that does come with a nice curve in it, rather than the funny single bend that most of the arms come with in the middle, if they're not completely straight. The build quality is excellent as well, and it's much quieter than the AVRI. It's really quiet overall, and I think really it's supposed to be like a Far Eastern made alternative to the AVRI. And the quality of hardware coming out of Korea and coming out of Japan is really just top quality, particularly in my opinion the stuff coming out of Korea. Interestingly, it also has the firmest spring. A lot of people comment one of the reasons they upgrade to the Mastery over the AVRI is the firmer feeling spring, the carbon steel carbon spring. But actually, if you just want a stiffer spring than the AVRI, get a classic player. Interestingly, the AVRI has the softest spring out of my 3 tremolos. The arm is longer than the Staytrem arm as well, and if you wanted to get the longest arm possible, you can put, as we've seen, the American Professional arm in there, and it'll just get you a little bit more extra length as well. So basically it wins every test for me, and I've said for a long time that I think the classic player is the best tremolo upgrade, but it's nice to see back to back that holds up as well. However, the thing that I really admire about Leo Fender is that he was always looking to improve things. Whenever he had a good idea or a good concept and he put it into practice, he was always looking to refine those ideas and improve them with each guitar that came out subsequently. After making the Jazzmaster and then the Jaguar, his next big offset project was the Mustang. In designing the Mustang tremolo, Leo addresses all of the things that can be issues with the Jazzmaster and Jaguar tremolos, and in my opinion he's made the ultimate offset tremolo with the Mustang. Now I know that might be a bit of a shock to some of you because it has such a bad reputation, but really when it's set up properly, the Mustang tremolo addresses all of these problems that we get aftermarket parts for and we mod our Jaguar and Jazzmaster tremolos, whereas the Mustang tremolo has all of these issues addressed straight from the factory. The Mustang tremolo does get crapped on quite a lot and it does have a really bad reputation, but it really does fix all of the issues that you get with a Jaguar or Jazzmaster tremolo, and it doesn't require any mods to do that whatsoever. The arm has a grub screw for you to set the tension of the arm. There's no need for a new collet or for the spring and shot mod, just tighten the grub screw in the cigar until the arm has the desired feel. A blob of Loctite on the threads and you have an arm that stays wherever you want it and doesn't rattle. No mods needed. The trem is totally silent in operation as well. The only noise you hear is the cigar coming back to rest on the top plate when it springs back into position. There's no noisy springs, there's no rattles, there's no knocking noises. It's much quieter than a Jaguar or Jazzmaster tremolo. The arm curves right into the player's hand, the spring is really firm and responsive when it's on the tightest setting, and the tremolo springs straight back into pitch after you've used it. That is, if you have it set up and lubed properly, of course. Leo even fixed things in the design that we haven't even touched on in this video. The brake angle over the strings is improved so that the strings won't pop out of the saddles. There's less wood taken out of the body to accommodate the internals of the tremolo mechanism, which is arguably an improvement over the Jaguar or Jazzmaster, which itself in that regard was an improvement over the Stratocaster. And the unit I'm using to demo all of this isn't even an expensive unit. It's just the stock made in Korea Mustang tremolo that's been lubed and set up properly. So, in conclusion, the Classic Player is the best tremolo to upgrade your guitar with, in my opinion. Even if you have an AVRI tremolo, arguably I would say you'd be better off with a Classic Player with the shot and spring mod in there. But possibly an even better tremolo is the Mustang. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on the comparisons in this video, your experience with these different trems, and if you think I'm crazy for loving the Mustang tremolo. Alright, well, until we meet again, take it easy, look after yourself, and we'll see each other again soon.